So for those of you new guys who have subscribed to me recently, you probably don't know, but my channel actually started as a gaming channel. I talked about gaming news for a while, and then I moved over into politics, then I moved over into some drama, and now I'm mostly covering politics, but I want to cover this news from gaming because I really care about it. Blizzard is one of my favorite gaming companies, and to see the way it's dying is just heartbreaking. I made a couple of videos where I talked about Blizzard's poor decisions, mocked and laughed at them, but I had no idea just how bad things are. So apparently, according to a Kotaku article, take it with a grain of salt, but they do point out that some Blizzard developers are genuinely excited to make mobile games. And the sad truth is that due to the infested microtransaction market that it is into mobile gaming, it is actually profitable for a company to start making mobile games. And we see EA with Command and Conquer and Blizzard doing the same thing. The only difference is that, as I mentioned before, Blizzard actually has an army of PR journalists working for them. I don't know if they're paid or not, but they will make damage control whenever Blizzard announces something unpopular. So for example, I saw a journalist, and I even made videos about it, where they're saying that, oh, mobile gaming, that's a female market, and if you don't like mobile games, you're a gatekeeper to the female market, and thus you're a misogynist. Like that is literally the mental gymnastics that they're making in order to defend this. And it's the video game journalist that will constantly shit on fans for not liking the product. Just imagine this in any other medium. Like, someone tries to sell you a refrigerator, you look at it, you say it's shit, and then the actual reviewers of refrigerators start complaining and call you an asshole because you don't like the refrigerator from their god-given company. It's just insane. It's insane, but this is the status of the video gaming world right now. You got companies that are taking turns in shitting on their customers, and they're making money for it. Because the journalists are going to do PR control for them, and they're going to advertise their games under sponsored content, and people are going to lap it up, they're going to buy it. It's quite sad, really. Like, I don't know of any other industry that does a similar practice, but it seems the more detached you are to your fan base, the more money you're going to make. And most of the money is indeed at the mobile gaming market and in China right now. So apparently, according to the Kotaku, a lot of Blizzard developers play Pokemon Go, and a natural extension of this was for the new incubation team to develop Warcraft version of Pokemon Go, which is supposedly in development for the smartphones now. Now, just to make it clear, no one cares that Blizzard wants to develop new games for the phone app. But Blizzard is one of the only company that actually requires you to pay money so that you can see their commercials. They have this thing called BlizzCon where people pay over $50, if I'm not mistaken, in order to go there and get to see their promo. So if they're going to charge money for ads, people at least expect there would be good ads. And when they saw it's like, no, it's ads for the mobile, of course people got upset. And secondly, people even got upset further when they found out that Blizzard is using their best developers in order to work on mobile. And it makes no sense for people who play video games for the PC, for example. People don't purchase $2,000 or $3,000 PC worth of gear in order to then play a game on a mobile. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's like, oh, the larger market. It's like the female crowd. Like, the female crowd probably doesn't have a $2,000 mobile to play their less high-tech gaming shit. Then people who have played the Warcraft mobile game say it's also a lot more like Pokemon Go, including a single-player mechanics. So this is like another thing that we see corporations do in the gaming market right now. It used to be a couple of people that were passionate about the game, and they wanted to create it and then show their fans what they've made. And of course it was for profit, but it was also to try to do something innovative. It was almost to try to do something artistic, if you want. Nowadays, video games are made like products in a factory. You got the assembly line, and they all just come out and they need to make a profit. There's absolutely no innovation. There's absolutely nothing new that's being done. Like, you have a board of investors that probably don't even play video games. They get cooties if they touch a video game box. And they just ask, like, okay, what's popular on the market right now? Well, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is popular. Okay, let's make that. You know, I want a game like that, but you put it into another universe. What else is popular? I know Destiny is popular. Well, let's make something like Destiny, but we call it Anthem, and we're going to sell it for a full price because people will play it because Destiny is popular, and therefore it makes sense that our new product is going to be popular. And this is how gaming companies are losing a lot of reputation. Gamers are getting fed up. They don't like it anymore. Like Blizzard was a company that constantly innovated. Every game that they made was an innovation, and it was just mind-boggling. Take, for example, Warcraft 3. They managed to combine real-time strategy with actual RPG, and your heroes managed to have like an inventory where you could put different items in. No one before has done that. Not that I'm aware of, and at least not at that scale. And that, like, every single game that Blizzard was pulling out was just extremely innovative. But as time goes on and we're going closer and closer to the present, we notice that they're becoming lacking in innovation. They're becoming lazy and they don't want to take risks anymore. And gamers are just asking, okay, how many times did I play that freaking game Destiny? I played Destiny 1, I played Destiny 2, I played The Division, I'm going to play The Division 2, and now I'm going to play Anthem. It's the same fucking game. Very little difference between the genre. It is just, ugh. But it's a cash grab, isn't it? So therefore it has to be sold. Now, when it comes to Diablo, apparently it did have a second expansion which was cancelled. And a lot of people speculated about this because you had the Necromancer DLC which was announced, and there were a lot of content, like different maps that had no sense story-wise, but they were being pushed in patches nonetheless. And this is what's shocking for people. Blizzard say that the cancellation show commitment to quality and that they have only released about 50% of the projects that they have worked on in the last 3 decades. This is why Blizzard was actually a great company. They would not put out a product that was bad, and because of it, their brand had a lot of power. When you saw a product that was being placed by Blizzard, people would buy it not because they wanted to, it's they had to. Like the brand was so powerful that it would drive people crazy. And I think that we're going to witness that as time goes on, Blizzard is going to lose the brand just like BioWare lost its brand. Project Hades was reportedly a Diablo game in development that would be more like Dark Souls, an over-the-shoulder dungeon crawler that was also cancelled. That looks so fucking amazing. That I would have spent so much money just to be able to play that game. That looks just utterly brilliant. But apparently, Project Fenris is the currently incarnation of Diablo 4 and the team is optimistic about it. Their art direction is to embrace the darkness. Again, like, this is good news. I'm happy to hear about this. Project Fenris is still early in the development and will not take to launch until 2020 or later. They still claim that there was talks to announce Diablo 4 at BlizzCon, but it wasn't far enough along the line, and one developer disputes this. Blizzard is careful to announce games before they are ready now because of what happened to Project Titan. Project Fenris is being worked on by a separate team of Diablo Immortal known as Incubation. Diablo Immortal exists because they heard that China really wanted a Diablo mobile game. Well, maybe that's true, but you should have announced it in China, at a press conference in China, rather than BlizzCon. Just saying, like, people at BlizzCon weren't there to hear about it. And I don't know how true it is either, by the way. Like, maybe the Chinese market is into that, but then just have, like, Blizzard China, like, open a new headquarters in China or some shit, and make games for the Chinese market. Don't expect that a completely different market is going to be hyped up about the games you want to sell in China. Activision and Blizzard employees say one of the biggest ongoing conversations this year has been cutting costs. Blizzard's response to the comment was Blizzard has been and continues to be a developer-driven company. All of the games we create represent ideas our games developers themselves are passionate about. This is as true for Diablo Immortal as it was for Warcraft Works and Human or Overwatch or any game we made. We believe that the best games to make are the ones our developers believe in. The perception is that Activision is starting to get more and more involved with Blizzard because 2018 had been a weak year for them. The meetings this year was the first time many employees heard things like cutting costs or showing growth. Activision wants to boost Blizzard's content output by adding more developers and release more games on a regular schedule. This is what kills a brand, by the way. When you have to release games on a regular schedule, you're just going to have to shit out the product. Just look at Assassin's Creed. They were using the same engine and they had very weak storylines. They had very many titles that were infested with bugs and glitches because they had to just, oh, it's another year, shit it out. And yeah, when you shit it out, it becomes shit. Mike Morfheim stepping down was a big blow because he was seen as the anti-CEO and just wanted to make good games and keep employees happy without worrying about profitability. So let's recap what we just read here. Let's go back to it, okay? So apparently, Blizzard decides to make a sequel, an expansion for Diablo 3. And they end up shafting it for some reason. And then they want to make another Diablo 4 game, which by its description sounds fucking amazing, but they're told to stop, and they're told to start a new project, and now Activision is stepping in, and they're saying, okay, you need to show new IPs, you need to show growth, you need to show this and that. Blizzard was never about growth. Like, they were making a lot of money, but it was the slow run. Like, they would bank a lot on their logo, they would bank a lot on their brand. And as I previously mentioned, people would buy the game just because it was from Blizzard. And I don't think that's going to be the way of the future. I think eventually Activision is going to replace all the previous developers from Blizzard. And it's just going to be Activision with the brand that they're going to keep. It's the same what happens with BioWare, really. Like, if you look at BioWare, almost none of the original developers are there anymore. I don't expect any good things to come out of BioWare from this point forward. None of the developers who have made Mass Effects, I think, even works at BioWare. And the only reason that EA keeps that is because of the brand, because of the name. And if it's going to end up not making a big impact with their Anthem, it's going to disappear as well. Like, they're going to go the way of Westworld. Now, with Blizzard, I think it's still going to be around as long as they have World of Warcraft, even though I'm willing to bet that their numbers in WoW are dwindling, especially because they refuse to show the number of subscribers anymore. And as they're going to put out more and more games, if they don't live up to the Blizzard standard, people are going to hate them. Because it's one thing when, like, a random company comes up and puts up a game that ends up to be mediocre, people are willing to give them a pass. But when it's a company like Blizzard, where people have incredibly high expectations, if you put up a game that has bugs, that's not interesting, that seems like a cash grab, people are going to eat you out for it, and they're not going to tolerate it.